Track is brought to you by Olin Breweries and the Maritime Harness Racing Track Operators.
Hi, and welcome once again to another edition of At the Track. This afternoon we have two races for you. The Atlantic Sire Stakes race for 2-year-old pacing fillies. That was at Champlain Raceway in Dieppe on a Tuesday night. And then we go back to the Labor Day holiday for the oldest colt race in the Maritimes, the Donnie Turner Memorial Stake for 3-year-old pacers. We'll also take a look at the only harness racing publication in the Maritimes. First, the Atlantic Sire Stakes race on a wet Tuesday at Champlain Raceway.
Number 1, Night Blues.
The Atlantic Sires Stakes is an annual event at Champlain Raceway. It's a showcase for 2-year-olds, a chance for bettors and buyers alike to get a look at the best of the new maritime racing blood. The first division was number 5 on the card.
They're off. Christie's Pride takes the lead. They move 6 wide. Now swinging for the turn up on the outside. Rothman Special, the leader, and moving away in between horses. DJ's Amy and PH Jet. 3 wide. They battled for the lead into the paddock turn. Race on by the opening 8. Hit along the rail. DJ's Amy has the lead. Rothman Special racing 2. PH Jet on the outside, a moving 3. Titled Blaze is 4th in along the rail. They're round the paddock turn, swing on by the opening quarter in 31 seconds flat, move down the stretch, race in front of the stand for the first time, and on the outside there to challenge is PH Jet on the inside. DJ's Amy, they go on by the stand. Rothman Special in 3, Title Blaze racing 4, Chrissy's Pride 5 on the outside, Amron Silk 6 on the rail, Precious Jig Time as they go to the turn. The trailer is Hard Times. They're in the turn now, going for the half mile and out in front at the half. 103 and 2. DJ's Amy out of 3 now there to challenge as they swing to the back stretches. Rothman Special in along the rail. PH Jet is racing 3. Title Blaze 4 on the rail. Chrissy's Pride 5 on the outside. Precious Jig Time on the outside. Racing 6 now is going 3 wide and is the quickest of them all. They swing to the turn. DJ's Amy out in front on the extreme outside. Precious Jig Time is now second, 3/4, 136 and 2. DJ's Amy, Precious Jig Time on the outside in 2. It along the rail. Rothman Special racing 3. Title Blaze looking for room, comes to the outside from 4th. They swing on by the 7/8 now. Drive on home. DJ's Amy, Rothman Special, Precious Jig Time, Title Blaze looking for room. They come to the wire on the inside. DJ's Amy on the outside. Rothman Special. They battle on home. It's DJ's Amy in 2, 10 and 4.
A time of 2:10 and 4 is slow by Champlain standards, but it was a sloppy track. Bill Hicken won with DJ's Amy despite her small size, but then he's always had good luck with fillies.
Well, they're only 2-year-olds, babies. You never know how they're going to react to it, you know. That little filly we win with, she's a pretty tough, gritty, not very big, but she's tough. She can go her kind of rugged. I figured I had a pretty good shot with her.
The second division of the Atlantic Sire Stakes was run in the 10th race.
John Home Kill, Karen Elspeth up on the outside, moving on the extreme outside. That's Maritime Pipeline. Night Blues on the inside. They battle for the lead. Maritime Pipeline on the outside. Kill Karen Elspeth. It's going to be close. Here they are in 2, 10 and 2.
Steve Mahar was the winner with Maritime Pipeline. He faced a different challenge. For much of the race, he was boxed in before he pulled out to win with a time of 2, 10 and 2.
I left out of there a little bit, and I got in a 3-hole. I didn't want to. A couple of horses come real early, you know, right past the quarter, and it was really too early to come. I just had to take my chances to stay in, but another horse moved early and was up on the outside, and another horse following him, he tried to tip 3 deep, and I just followed the horse that was 2 deep, and I kind of had to probably push my way a little bit around this turn to, you know, to get out. Once I get down the stretch, I had lots of clear sailing.
I'm Ron Shaw for At the Track.
Once again, we'll look at racing action from around the Maritimes. First to Charlottetown, Jeff Scamp 2:03.3, Erasmus the Trotter in 2:06.1. At Fredericton, Kid B 2:2.1, Night Hunter 2 minutes and 2/5. At Champlain Raceway, Heels Lad 1:58.4. Over to Truro, Jeremy's Boy 2:5.3 and Killer Lobo in 2:03. The $15,000 Provincial Cup went to Angel Shadow in 1:58.1. Top drivers, 3 wins for Dave Carey, 2 for Yvonne Cormier, Joe Gauguin and Jean-Louis Arsenault. They were the top drivers at Champlain Raceway. Top driver for the month of August was Dave Carey, both in victories and driving percentage. Over to Charlottetown, 2 wins for Toby McDonald, Paul McDonald and Joe Smallwood. The top driver in August, Gary McDonald, 22 victories, a .460 percentage. At Fredericton, so far exhibition week, 4 wins for Mike Downey in 1 program and 2 for Steve Mahar. At EPR, where it was exhibition week last week, 17 wins for Wally Hennessy. Jody Hennessy was a top percentage driver. He had a .452 driving percentage, beating out his brother on the final race of the final day. Over at Truro, a driving triple and a driving double for Dougie Walsh, a triple for Carl Jameson, and driving doubles for Bruce McLean, Bernie McCollum, and Rod Jameson. That's it for our racing recap. We'll be back with more at the track in a moment's time. Communications is a key ingredient for any sport, and one of the problems for Maritime's harness racing over the years has been a lack of communications. But all of that changed in the mid-1970s with the publication of Atlantic Postcalls, a magazine, a weekly newspaper devoted entirely to the sport of harness racing. Doug Harkness, a veteran of radio, television, and newspapers, is the publisher and does most of the writing. Here's the story of Atlantic Postcalls and Doug Harkness.
This is what Doug Harkness does every Monday. His editorial for Atlantic Postcalls is one of the last things he writes during the weekly production marathon. For Harkness and Warren Burgess, the other half of the paper's full-time staff, there are no vacations and little sleep during the last 48 hours before publishing. But it's a labor of love.
Well, I guess I always was a fan of harness racing. From a kid, I used to go to the races and had some friends that were interested in racing, and I guess probably my involvement in a more serious involvement when I became a sports writer, and I used to cover different events with harness racing. And then I met Laurie O'Brien, who was a great gentleman in maritime harness racing in his later years, and got to jogging horses with him and helping him train his horses, and got to just to like being around them, and that sort of spurred my interest in the sport, from a different perspective than I had before.
It's a paper for insiders. At least half the subscribers are members of the United States Trotting Association. But its attractive format and clear, concise writing, rooted in the extensive journalistic background of the editor, also make it popular among outsiders interested in harness racing in Atlantic Canada. When it began publishing about 7 years ago, it provided something the industry had never had before, a detailed, reliable chronicle of harness racing history.
There was always the complaint among horsemen that they weren't getting their fair share of coverage in the media. And of course, I know that the media has problems because there are just so many sports to cover these days that the sport pages and the television stations just can't cover them all. And harness racing people are real nuts about the sport, and they just couldn't get enough if you had a full paper. And I'm sure sometimes they feel mine is inadequate. But there was always that complaint. And when I came to work in Amherst with Cumberland Publishing as their editor, they had the press capability, and I thought, well, gosh, we'll try to put out a paper on a regional basis and see what kind of reaction we have.
Atlantic Postcalls now sells about 3,000 copies a week, $2 each on the newsstand, $35 a year for a subscription. It tries to offer encouragement to the industry because the people who are in it sometimes forget that Atlantic Canada harness racing is world class.
I guess probably what I try to do, first of all, is to promote the sport in the great sport that it is, and to promote the efforts of maritime breeders, because we have some very, very significant gains in our breeding industry in recent years, and we now are able to produce in the Maritimes colts that can race with colts anywhere in the world.
But Harkness is too much of a journalist to allow Atlantic Post calls to become a vehicle for the industry to pat itself on the back. He's not afraid to make a few criticisms for the good of the industry, even if it costs him a few subscriptions. He says the maritime operators need to do a better job of promoting racing. They also need to make it easier for new fans to understand the ins and outs of the sport.
There's so many records, and people don't understand the difference between a 5/8 mile track and a half-mile track, that it's very hard for someone to go into a racetrack and pick up a program and know what it's all about. You feel like a rank outsider. The program looks like it's in Greek, and it makes you very uncomfortable. Plus the fact you've probably gone to a racetrack that night to see the Monctonian or the major race that's been promoted, and you wait all night to see this race, and as the guy says, it's over in less than 2 minutes.
Harkness has devoted considerable space to the considerable controversy over the closing of Sackville Downs. The track shutdown is a blow to everyone involved in the industry in the region. He believes a 20% reduction in racing dates was needed to keep the industry in the black. But he doesn't believe shutting down the most important track on the circuit was the way to do it.
I blame the Nova Scotia Racing Commission for not investigating the sale of the track by Jack Cruikshanks in the first place, to see that these new owners were going to have an input into harness racing and a commitment. I think if the horsemen in Halifax had known that, 18 months down the road, this track would have been sold for commercial development, they would have accepted that. They would have raced up to that time and made efforts to get a new track going.
He says advance notice of the closure would have given the industry time to arrange for a new racing facility in the Halifax area. I'm Ron Shaw for At the Track.
Well, back once again with more interesting facts and figures from the world of harness racing, and also back to our glossary first with the facts and figures. Hervé Fillon's recent win in the International Trot in New York moved him into the $50 million plus purse earnings category. Wits End's Gypsy, who won the Monctonian and B.C. Cruikshank Memorial at Sackville Downs and here at Champlain Raceway, set the track record twice recently at Greenwood Raceway in Toronto. And Summerside native Walter Whalen was the winning driver in this year's Prix d'Été at Bluebonnets Raceway, driving Armbro Emerson. In our glossary, a recall, that is a race restart because of interference, broken equipment, a horse falls, a horse scores ahead of the gate, a horse is not inside the fair start pole when the word go is given, or a malfunction of the starting gate. An inquiry is an investigation by the judges into possible violation of racing rules or into an accident during a race. A photo that is usually called for when horses are separated by 1/2 length or less at the finish. However, with or without a photo finish camera, the decision of the judges is final. Well, Stan Bergstein back with us once again, and earlier on in our series of shows we talked with Dave Donnie about the race secretary's job, but Stan today looks at one particular aspect of that job. That's the condition sheet. Here's Stan.
How do harness horses get into a given race? How do trainers know what races are available to enter their horses in? All of the answers are found in the racing secretary's office, which is where I am right now. And the answers in particular are found on this sheet, which is known as a condition sheet. And one of these can be found in every racing secretary's office at every racetrack in North America. This particular condition sheet lists 6 days' races. And as you'll see, there are 9, 8, 10 races offered on each card. The reason that there might be less races offered than a full racing card, for example, maybe 8 races showing when there are 10 races in the card, is that some of the races are split. They get more entries in than they can use in one division, so they split the race and fill the card. The purses are also listed here so that the trainer can see how much money he's going to be racing for in that particular race. The trainer refers to these races, sees which races match the conditions that his horse is eligible to, and then he takes an entry blank. The entry blank is either yellow for trotters or blue for pacers. This is a color code that is used throughout the United States and, as a matter of fact, in Canada also. If he is entering a pacer, he takes one of the blue slips, fills out the pertinent information, which includes the color, sex, and age of the horse, the sire and dam, mother and father of the horse, or father and mother, I should say, if it's sire and dam, the owner's name, the trainer's name, the name of the driver and his license number and his colors of his silks, and then the signature of the person entering the horse. When he has filled all of that information out, he drops it in the appropriate slot. There is a slot, as you can see, for each race, 1 through 10. If he's entering in the 6th race, he simply drops the entry blank in the 6th race box. From that point on, the races are collected, the entry blanks, by the racing secretary and his staff. They are then screened, and they are then given date preference on the basis of when the horse last raced. Those that raced longest ago get first date preference to start again to try and keep a rotation order. Once they are processed, the judges then take over. But all of the information needed by the trainer in entering his horse is found here in the racing secretary's office. And this is how they get them in those races.
Well, more in the way of stakes races at Champlain Raceway next week on Tuesday night, post time 7:30, the Atlantic Sire Stakes for 2-year-old pacing colts. They'll have entries in both the A and B divisions. And then 1 week from tonight, again 7:30 is post time, a $3,000 invitational is the feature. Tonight at Fredericton Raceway, it's exhibition week and the conclusion in their harness racing aspect, the Bill Quigg Memorial for 3-year-old pacers, post time 7:30. Then next week they swing over to Thursdays, racing once a week, Thursday night 7:30 post time until Thanksgiving Day. Then they wind their season up with a program in the afternoon. Over to Truro Raceway, they are now racing on Wednesday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon, 1:30 post time for the afternoon cards, 7:30 on Wednesday night, and their feature tomorrow is an invitational pace. At Charlottetown next week, Thursday and Saturday are their racing dates, and they'll have an invitational going on the Saturday program. Well, we mentioned at the outset of the show about the Donnie Turner Memorial Stake. That is an open stake for 3-year-old pacers. Once again, it was an exciting race and a big winner and a favorite name around the Maritimes from this season. Here's a look at the Donnie Turner Stake from Truro Raceway.
A large crowd on hand at Truro Raceway for Labor Day, the Donnie Turner Memorial for 3-year-olds. The featured 10th with a purse of $12,000. The starters on the fence, Amron Dude, co-owned and driven by Russell Burgoyne of Lower Sackville. In the 2-hole, Kilkerran Dancer, owned by Eric Steves of Moncton. Danny Romos in the bike, has 11 starts, was in the money 7 times. Wearing purple, starting 3 out, BC's Jack. Didn't race as a 2-year-old, has 12 starts this year, though, owned by Eric Webby. Robert Laffin is driving. In the gold, wearing number 4, Maple Grove Shadow, co-owned and driven by Winston Campbell. A personal best time, 1:58 and 4. Number 5 is Hidden Intentions, owned by Ewan Lee Taylor, Hunter River, and Sean McIsaac of Cornwall PEI. John Yule's driving. Harbor View Charger wears the black number 6, owned by Lawrence Hall and James Gillis of Sydney. Wayne Murner's driving. All the Glory is number 7, wearing gray. Best time is 2:02 and 2. Mike McDonald trains and drives. Kilkerran Delco is the 8th starter. William Slomwhite of Halifax is the owner. Dave Pinkney trains and drives. Best time is 2:02 and 2, and winning at Charlottetown last month. In brown, number 9, PH Liz, owned by Jim Shive of Shubenacadie. Doug Walsh is driving. In green, number 10, Charlotte's Reward, owned by Blakey and Babineau of Truro. Phil Pinkney's the trainer and driver. Best time is 2:03. And in purple, number 11, KL Major, owned by Lorne Whidden and Ken Atkinson of Truro. Phil Pinkney trains. Rod Jameson is driving.
Here they come. They're off and pacing, and as they get away, BC's Jack is the first horse to show. Driving up on the outside, Maple Grove Shadow now has 2. And going wide into the turn is Charlotte's Reward. In along the fence, Amron Dude comes away in 4th. As they go by the 8th and into the backstretch from the 5 spot is Harbor View Charger. Outside in 6th is Kilkerran Dancer. 7th along the rail is All the Glory. Then racing from 8th to the outside, that's Kilkerran Delco. They race on by the opening quarter. Up front, Maple Grove Shadow now takes over the top spot from BC's Jack. Charlotte's Reward will race from the 3 spot. Amron Dude holds on to 4. Then Harbor View Charger out the fence in 5. On the limb, 6th. is Kilkerran-Denser. All the Glory looks at it from 7. 8th to the outside is Kilkerran-Delco. KL Major has 9 in 10 off of the turn. PH Liz, Hidden Intentions trails the quarter in 29 1/5. They come in front of the stand for the first time as they go by the halfway marker. It's Maple Grove Shadow setting the early fractions and has it by 1 length. BC's Jock gets the good journey from 2. Moving to the outside, 3rd is Charlotte's Reward. In along the rail, Harborview Charger holds on to 4. Following live cover on the outside, 5 is Amron Dude. All the Glory, nowhere to go, 6th. 7 to the outside is Kilkerran-Denser. And moving off the fence in 8 is KL Major. Kilkerran-Delco. From 10 is PH Liz, and well back and trailing is Hidden Intentions. Half and 59 2 as they go by the 3/4, and stepping it up on the front end, Maple Grove Shadow is now clear by 7 lengths. Charlotte's Reward is racing from 2. Amron Dude holds on to 3. The 3/4 in 1:29. They race by the 7/8. It's all Maple Grove Shadow with less than an 8th to go. They swing off the top turn. It's Maple Grove Shadow. Has it all his own way. Clear now by 12 lengths. The battle's on for second. Charlotte's Reward, Amron Dude. They come to the wire. It's going to be Maple Grove Shadow in the Donnie Turner Memorial. Up for 2 is Harborview Charger.
My watch was a half a minute, and I figured I had all one in. But I was out a couple fifths of a second. I figured I had all 1 1/2.
What do you think the future is for the winner of the Donnie Turner Memorial this year?
Take it day by day.
Don't want to give us anything more insightful than that?
Sophie could probably give you something, but I really couldn't.
Yeah. What do you say, Super?
Well, we're going to stay a couple more stakes, and we're going down the States with him, I think.
Yeah.
Trial across the border. The horse for sale. Winters are cold around here.
Yeah. Maple Grove Shadow sets a Donnie Turner record, 1:59 2. This is Paul Meunier for At the Track.
That's it for another edition of At the Track. We hope you enjoyed our program this afternoon, and we are back again next Saturday with more from the world of harness racing from around Atlantic Canada. Our feature will be a look at Bea Farber, the Queen Bee. She's the top female driver in the sport of harness racing, and she made a special guest appearance at Fredericton Raceway. We will have 2 feature races for you. First, from Fredericton once again, the Bill Quigg Memorial for 3-year-old pacers, and from Champlain Raceway, the Atlantic Sire Stakes for 2-year-old pacing colts. They had both A and B divisions. Stan Bergstein also will be back with us, and we'll have more of our racing recap and other features. Until then, I'm Howie Trainer at the track.
At the Track has been brought to you by the Maritime Harness Racing Track Operators and Olin Breweries.